Give him
All right, we're back here at Moment Machine, and we're working on our Better 312 again. I know you guys thought that it got lost, and it did for a little bit. We definitely got busy last year working on some other stuff. But we are on it again. We are here. And today we're going to put the timing cover on it. So we wanted to show you guys, a couple things that are simple. How we dress the gasket and centering up the seal. These engines don't have any alignment dowels, so you do physically have to center the seal up so that you don't get leaks. So we're going to bring in the timing cover. We're going with the shortened cover. And like I said before in some videos, the engine's going through a few changes. So we decided to go to a shortened cover, and now we're putting it in a car, and it was going in a truck originally. But the shortened cover, we have a video on it. I think if we remember, we'll post a link in the description. Or if you go to product reviews, or if you go to the YouTube channel and you hit playlist and then you look at product reviews, you'll be able to see the video on the short timing cover where we talk about some specifics about it in detail. And but today we're just going to talk about installing a timing cover and a little bit about the shortened cover. You've seen probably the video where we have the complete method of stacking up the front of the cam with traditional stuff, but the shortened cover uses this special little shortened button and then a countersunk Allen screw. So it's a little different there. We wanted to show you guys that. And then basically what we're going to talk about too, in all of our 312 videos, we haven't gotten into really any gaskets yet. And these are old engines. There's a lot of people out there with theories on what you should and shouldn't do with gaskets. But these engines are old. They use a lot of paper gaskets, some high density, some low density. And we have some very different preps that we do on the different gaskets. And it's just things we've learned over the years. You can do it any way you want, but we'll show you what works for us. So one of the first things we got to do when we put on our gasket is identify which way it goes on. And these holes here are usually the easiest way. On the Y block, the left side has the 3/8 bolt and the right side has the 5/16. So just make sure that the bigger hole in the gasket is on the passenger side, or it would be the left if you're looking at the front of the block. So what we use, because we have two machined surfaces, the block is machine flat, the timing cover is a casting, it's rigid and machined flat. We're going to use just a light gasket dressing, and we like this gasket cinch. Now in California, we've just figured out, because our old gasket cinch was dried up, that this stuff isn't that easy to get anymore. In California anyway. I think it's probably in every local liquor store in every other state, but California, it's spooky stuff. So Edelbrock looks like they've taken that over, and I think they call it Edelbrock gasket cinch, and I think you can order it online. But we found it hard to get at the parts store. We bought the last 2 bottles at Napa today. So, and the reason that we're going to use a little bit of gasket dressing is mainly it acts as a light sealer, but it also just kind of helps hold the gasket in place, because on the Y block, and I think if we mentioned this or not, I think we did, is that, there is no dowels. So you do have to center it, and you have to use some sort of centering device. So what we do is we made this, and it goes on the crank, and it's got the dimension of the seal. And then as we put it on, you're going to see it happen. We'll put this in, and it will center up on the seal. And then at that point, we'll go ahead and start putting the bolts in. Now, if you don't have a lathe or can't make one thing that we looked at, I'm gonna set this down, is you could take an old damper like this if you have one that's junk or broken, and you could bandsaw it off about here somewhere, and then you could have a machine shop just open up the inside about a thou, and you could use that for your centering device. But you definitely have to get the seal centered up. So we've put our gasket dressing on the block, and you can see we've got our gasket sting. We don't usually put too much of anything on this side of the gasket. You can do what makes you feel good. Some people may want to throw a little more around the water ports. But we are going to talk about bolts and sealer. So almost all these holes go into some form of water or oil. These are the water inlet holes. And these 4 bolts, the 2 here and the 2 here, it's always a good idea to use some number 2 form a gasket on there on your threads. The other bolts, like these valley cover bolts and some of these go into oil. So it's not even a horrible idea if you want to throw a little on those threads as well. Right now. Go ahead. So what we're doing, we decided to put a little of little light silicone on the front of the gasket around those water ports. And we've put our number 2 on the bolts. We're thumbing them in. We're not going to tighten them down yet because we're going to use our centering device. So that's what we're going to get ready to kind of show you here. So you got to have your wrench in hand and your centering device. And then what we'll do is we're just going to see, you can see that the timing cover is kind of moving around right now a little bit. So what we do is we, right there, you just kind of move it around till your centering device just, oh, I had it. So, and remember that the weight of the cover can squish the seal a little bit, so you kind of have to work it around and just make sure that it's not falling on the seal too hard. You know, you just kind of have to get the cover to a neutral position. That's about the best you can do. And then you just take, kind of slightly cinch it up, get the bolts going. There we go. Now it's going in and out real nice. So we cinched it up. Alright, John's getting sealer on the last 2 bolts. We actually had to loosen it. Even though we had it centered on the seal, we had a little bit of rotation like this, and this bolt wasn't going in. So we just loosened it one more time and moved it around sort of in a clocking position rotationally, and now all the bolts are going in and our seal thing's working. So you might have to play with it a little bit. So we're going to get this bolt tightened down, and we'll get the last one tightened down. And then after this, what we'll do, either in this video later on or in the next video, we will start talking about a few particulars that are relevant to the short cover. We've never had any very good instructions on how to use these or helpful tips. So we will show you some specifications or dimensions on the damper. I think we said from the timing gear to the center of the pulley has to be 3 5/8. We end up using, I believe, the early model Chevy water pump because it has the most offset. It's like the deepest. And here, let's see that one.
The pulley.
The pulley. Yeah, these, you know, this is a very typical water pump pulley. I think you can still get them stamped steel even, but you know that it takes that much offset to get you back a good inch from where the original was. All right, so we're in here the next morning, and we were going to try to keep going, try to do more, cram more into this video, but I think it's just getting too long right now. So when we come back, what we're going to do is we're going to show you the installation of the damper, and then we'll even give, you know, some specs of diameters and lengths and stuff like that. And then probably we'll mock up the water pump, pulley, belt, and all that, and give you kind of a good overall look of what a fully dressed up shortened timing cover looks like. So anyway, for John and Jeff, Mama at Y Block, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, never be afraid to go to the website. Happy Y blocking, and till next time, see you guys.